And we are live. Uh, my apologies for being late. I was on another stream before this, and we ran a little bit late. I've got a million things going on, but that's no excuse. We're here to hang out and talk about toys. So my apologies, but it couldn't be helped. It couldn't be helped. Um, for any of you that aren't aware, I am involved with the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. For any of you that aren't aware, I'm also involved in some other projects that will, come to light sooner rather than later. And I am splitting my time between a full-time job and Spiro Toys and other projects, and being the father of 3 lovely children, and trying not to completely ruin a marriage. So I have to give so much respect and appreciation to my wife, who tolerates all of this, and who is very, very accommodating and encouraging of me in this time where I have way more hours worth of work to do than I have hours in the day. But here we are. Let's talk about Street Fighter figures. Jada Toys is absolutely killing it with these figures. This is the last one that I got of the currently released figures, and I am really, really excited. I don't know the Street Fighter lore maybe as much as I should, maybe as much as some other people do. Let me just quickly adjust this camera. The angle is driving me crazy. There's a weird, it's askew a little bit. And I'm loving these figures, but like I said, the lore is something that I don't understand. I don't quite grasp, who's a good guy, who's a bad guy. I do know that Bison is a bad guy, and so I feel like this is the first bad guy that we've gotten. Is that accurate to anybody that sort of knows Street Fighter? We got Ryu, we got Chun-Li, we got Fei Long, we got Ken, we got Dalsim, and now we get Bison. Is he the first proper bad guy in the line? And I use that, loosely. Bad guy. I'm not entirely sure whether any of the other characters are bad guys, because I just feel like they're they're sort of the characters that you pick. They're sort of the good guys from a certain point of view. But let's see. Very quickly, I'm going to check in with the chat because you guys are here. I appreciate you guys. It makes it so much more fun, and it makes it so much easier, admittedly, to do these videos when people are hanging out. So shout out to you guys. Quip says Europe, correctly spelled with a P on the end. That's the Canadian spelling for anybody that is not familiar with the correct spelling. GameQuest says, haven't I seen this guy's mug already this evening? Do you mean my mug? Because my mug's not on here. This is M. Bison. I was already doing a video, but Ray Pass says, I got this on the way. Can't wait to get it in hand. Immortan Jojo says, the day Bison graced your village, it was the single most important day of your life. For me, it was Tuesday. Bison, from the cinematic masterpiece that is Street Fighter the movie, which is a cinematic masterpiece. If anybody's not seen it, it does star Jean-Claude Van Damme. So if that alone doesn't tell you how great it is a movie, I don't know what might. Ray Pass says, shout out to Amanda. Absolutely. Thanks for lending Adam to us. Yeah, Amanda's making a good point. Anyways, they fight in the streets. I feel like there's more to that, but yeah, he's a dictator. I mean, I guess that's enough to make you a bad guy, or is it? I don't know. Quip says, yeah, he's a bad guy. Evil Ryu was the first bad guy. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Evil Ryu was the SDCC 2023 exclusive from Jada Toys. But this is my point exactly, Immortan Jojo. Just because he's a bad guy doesn't make him a bad guy. That's only true for Zangief. I'm very excited for that Zangief figure as well. Also, that's a good point. Ming-Na Wen as Chun-Li. It was a pretty stacked cast, to be honest. They spared no expense as far as the cast goes. Anyways, enough about the Street Fighter movie. Let's get into M. Bison. I'm very excited about this figure. I'm very excited about this line. Ray Paz, thank you for pushing me in the right direction, for encouraging me to get these figures. I was on the fence for a while, but I am very much not on the fence anymore. I am enjoying picking up these figures at retail, which is kind of fun. Like because I don't need these figures, because this line was one that I was not 100%. I don't need toys. I've said this before. Need is a weird word to use with action figures as a 42-year-old man. But I was excited to get them. I like Street Fighter. I've enjoyed the game. I don't know the lore. I don't know the characters well enough to really, consider myself any sort of expert or any sort of authority on them. However, they do hold a dear place in my heart as sort of the one fighting game that I remember playing as a kid. There's other things like Deathstalkers. Is that the name of it? Like, I don't know the names of any other fighting games. Deathstalkers or Night Dealer, something, the one that has the vampire and the mummy and all it. Like, I love that one. I love to play that one. There's the other one that I think Storm Collectibles is doing a line of, but I can't even remember what that one's called. Like, there was a bunch of really fun games, but Street Fighter was like the one. Street Fighter, feel free to disagree with me, but Street Fighter was like the game for a long, long time. And I think everything was sort of measured against Street Fighter. And I think it still is to some extent. in terms of the zeitgeist and in terms of the sort of collective pop culture consciousness. Um, and so I'm really excited that they're doing these, but I'm also very excited that Jada is doing such a good job with these figures. They are absolutely killing it with these figures. Everyone that I've gotten so far has been phenomenal, and I expect no less from M. Bison. I'm gonna unbox this figure, and then I'm gonna, talk a little bit about the line and what Jada's doing, and so on and so forth. And I'm gonna try to be as short as I can, because as I said, I've already done another video tonight. I don't want to go too late tonight, and I've got more videos coming up. So Quip said Dark Stalkers. Yes, that is the one I'm talking about. Amor Tanjojo Dark Stalkers. I love that one. I would love to get figures for those. I know that somebody's doing that line. Samurai Showdown. That's the other one. That's the other one that I'm talking about. So you're speaking my language, even though my language is confusing and not clear. But now, GameQuest, somebody mentioned SNK, and I didn't even know what that meant. I thought that was an abbreviation, but it's like the studio that did a bunch of these games. I was under the impression that they were all sort of done by one studio, but they weren't. So, Jeff Morris, good evening, all. My M. Bison has finally shipped from Big Bad Toy Store. Let's see. Mortan Jojo. No, they aren't. I'm just listing off. Yeah, it gets confusing. There's so many cool fighting games that have really great characters, and I lose track of which characters came from which, because I don't know the games well enough. Ray Paz was getting in trouble for this one. He says, "I'm glad you love them as much as I do. I totally deny getting you into this line." You are not responsible, Ray, but I thank you for the gentle encouragement. Let's just call it that. All right. I am more or less caught up with the chat, so let's take a look at the packaging before I open this guy up. It's the Street Fighter. It's the Jada Street Fighter packaging. Need I say more? We get the little, the face at the bottom, which is the same face that we see on the back, which is the same face that you see when you play the game. What I really do like about this Jada packaging, and I've said this before, but I will say it again because this is live. I love that they've kept it super, super simple. It is the arcade console, on either side. It is the controllers, front and center. It is the figure, and then it is the background that you would have if you were playing this particular level. So they're not spending a ton of time and a ton of money on getting the packaging right. I think they've nailed the packaging. They've done it correctly. It's simple, it's straightforward, and they're not bothering to spend more time or money on it. It just makes sense to me that they are letting the figures speak for themselves. On the back, we get M. Bison. On the back, we get, the call out to all the figures that they're planning to do. And then we do get the very, very simple and straightforward information about M. Bison. Country of origin, unknown. Fighting style, psycho power. Let both of those sink in. Country of origin, unknown. Okay, that's fine. He's a bad guy. He, that's that mystique of mystery. Fighting style, psycho power. I thought Dalsim's yoga fighting was a weird one. Psycho power, I'm not familiar with that fighting style. Anyway, moving on. He looks great in the package. What I will point out, and this is, I only noticed this when I looked at it just now. he appears to have like pupils in his eyes on the back of the box. Now, I don't know if they sort of thought about doing that or whether that was, during pre-production or what. But clearly he does not have pupils. And clearly M. Bison, to the best of my knowledge, never did, except for maybe the live action movie. But anyway. Fun fact, says Quip. Bison's avatar image is the only one looking straight forward. The rest are side quarter profile pics. Absolutely. That's a very good point. Everybody else is sort of, looking, from the side. And Bison is just like, that's like a mugshot right there. He looks nasty. He looks mean. Quip says, psycho power is the opposite of yoga. I don't know what's yoga fighting style. I don't know what that means either. I think Immortan Jojo says I think the pupils were a last minute removal, and I think they made the right choice because I think he looks way better without them. He had black eyeballs and white pupils in the Street Fighter cartoon. Very good point. I've seen a couple episodes of the cartoon, but I didn't keep track of that. All right, that's the packaging. Let's get this guy out of the box. I pre-cut the bottom. It doesn't help. I take these out from the bottom because that shape, that plastic bubble is a little bit wider at the base. So I do it that way. There he is right there. I will need this. Good thing Star's not watching because I am using sharp objects. I'll set him aside there. But here's what I'm talking about. They use these cool inserts, and these are relevant. In the game, these are the backgrounds to the levels when you fight these particular characters, and I think that's a really really cool inclusion. I like that there's something different about all the characters. It's one of those things where the packaging in general is the same, but overall, when you get them out of the box, they're all very very unique and very different. And so begins the ASMR portion of the show. I will cut this guy out. I'll try to be quick. The good news is they put them in here really really well so that you can snip all of these quite quickly and efficiently rather than tucking them in strangely in ways that I gotta like figure out how to get the angle right. I think that's all of them. I feel like this portion, like this part of every video, when I open the figures up and like take them out of the box, I feel like this is the moment where like half the people just like stop watching and just go watch something better. I would. Okay, there he is out of the box. I'm very quickly gonna get him stood up. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. He is definitely, like, first impressions, like immediate reaction, he's definitely like way thicker than any of the other figures. Just in terms of like the thickness of his torso, the thickness of his arms, the size of his fists, like legs, all of it. Like he's just bigger, heavier, more substantial. Is he gonna stand up? I don't know. All right, there we go. That answer looked so 3D on camera. Well, it's not too bad. And there he goes. All right. Well, there wasn't much chat wise, so I'm caught up. I want to get him to stand up, and then I want to quickly adjust the angle of my camera, and then can I lean him against there? That'll work. Forgive me. This is the worst part. This is worse than when I'm actually getting them out of the sort of bubble. But there we go. Okay, that's fine. I won't adjust it again. Thick boy. Yeah, he is. He is. All right. So first impressions of the figure, as I said, he's a little bit thicker. He's a little bit. He feels hardier, which makes sense. You know, the M Bison character is meant to be a boss, so it makes sense that he's a little bit bigger. The texture is really nice. On all the figures, we've seen a decent amount of texture. All of the fabrics seem to be a little bit different. So Ken is different than Fei Long, and both of them are different than M Bison. All of the red fabric has a texture to it, including the hat, which is pretty impressive. Paint wise, deco wise, again, you know, they're pretty decent paint apps, pretty clean. They're keeping them fairly simple. I mean, I guess that makes sense since the figures themselves, or sorry, the characters themselves, when they're in the game, are by and large, you know, pretty simple, pretty straightforward because they're pixelated, because they're not, you know, a super high def kind of thing. They tend to err on the side of being less complicated, and I think that's what really makes it so that these figures can kind of make sense, if that makes sense. You know, they don't have to do anything crazy complicated. There's no crazy details that are hard to reproduce and to manufacture. You know, the texture is probably the most sort of unique feature about them. I had heard that he had a really nice cape, that the cape was good. I'm a little bit disappointed in this cape. I don't know if you can hear it or not, and let me know if you can hear it or not. It's quite a plasticky cape. It's not a, it doesn't feel like a fabric cape. It's more plasticky. Now there is, you know, it is wired, which I appreciate. It's great in that respect. But it feels plasticky, and I don't like that. I do like that what they've done is, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to sort of show this. They've put it on sort of a floating shoulder pad so that sort of pops into the joint and doesn't affect articulation. So the arm can go up, the arm can go forward, the arm can go back, and that shoulder piece is always going to be right there. I like M Bison with the cape, and so I'm going to be a bit reluctant to take the cape off. However, as I said, it's a bit plasticky. It still looks really good, and I'm sure, you know, the wire, so there is a full wire in the cape, so there's a full wire all the way down. There is a full wire through the bottom of the cape. So you're going to be able to pose the cape and sort of place the cape where you want it to be. But it's quite shiny. There's like a sheen to the fabric, and it's you know, more of a nylon. It's an unnatural synthetic fabric, which I don't particularly like. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little bit taken aback by the cape because so many people were talking about how great the cape was. There are instructions how to remove shoulder pads. So these do pop right off, and you can put the shoulder pads without the. So he's got alternate shoulder pads, left and right. Maybe a good time to talk about the accessories. He won't stand up. Every one of these figures before now was much more agile straight out of the box. This guy is a little bit clumsier. He's a little bit more cumbersome. Let me see if I can get his cape to sit in a way that I like it a little bit more. Wind-blown space station look. Okay, he's softening up a little bit, but you get these alternate shoulder pads, shoulder pauldrons. They are left and right, and they are clearly left and right, with a big giant L and a big giant R, and those are just going to swap out. So you pop the ones with the cape off, and you put the ones without the cape on. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that they have done a good job of you know, giving you the options. We get an alternate set of hands, the more open hand. So he comes with fists on the figure. We get the alternate head. Now, to me, this is the more iconic M. Bison head. I didn't adjust my light. Forgive me. There we go. That'll be better. That's the more iconic M. Bison head, that sort of stern face with the teeth exposed. That's the way I'm going to display mine. And then we get the effects piece. So I do appreciate that we've gotten effects pieces with everybody but Dalsum. I did an unboxing of Dalsum, and I completely forgot. I had thought about this, and I had sort of you know, thought about how I was going to say it and sort of how I was going to present it. I wish Dalsum came with the Yoga Flame. He didn't, but I assume at some point we'll get a Player 2 version, or we will get, you know, a deluxe version or something like that, which will come with the Yoga Flame. If not, I think I probably have enough not yoga effects, flame effects to cover for that. But yeah, it was something that I wanted and didn't know that I wanted until I unboxed the figure and got a bit of a better look, and sort of went back and sort of compared Dalsum to, you know, Street Fighter pictures, and I was like, oh yeah, the Yoga Flame. I really wanted the Yoga Flame. Anyways, let's see. That blue pops out so nice. It absolutely does. It does. You know, it's really it's a striking figure. And Bison is, to me, it's like a really iconic character. Again, that might just be, you know, me speaking through the lens of my my childhood. But M. Bison to me is a very iconic character. Quip says, is it like a starter jacket? The fabric on M. Bison's cape? No, it's not like a starter jacket. Like it's not like a windbreaker fabric. It's thicker. It almost feels rubberized. Like I don't know, it's weird. It's a very weird fabric. GameQuest says, I really do appreciate the original Street Fighter aesthetic they achieved here and would love to also see later iterations like Street Fighter Alpha. I sort of, I was sort of thinking about this when I opened Dulcim, and if you check out that video, I said, like, will they run out of characters if they just do these Street Fighter figures? Will they have to go a little bit deeper? Will they expand? Will they do another line? I don't know. There's only so many characters on the back of this particular box. So, we've already gotten six characters from these, with an additional, I think, 6 that are scheduled to arrive. That doesn't leave many characters. So where do they go from there? Do they do, player 2? Do they do alternate versions? Do they expand the lore? I don't know. I'm very curious to see. Uh I like this. I wish this was true. It's his warm-up breakaway cape, so they made it from the same material as the old starter warm-up jackets. I see what you were going for there. Ray says, for some, the body from neck to knees and shoulder to elbow are giving me a Mon El vibe. I don't know what Mon El is. Or maybe, am I not reading that right? Anyways. I'm getting Captain Falcon vibes. I don't know who Captain Falcon is. And Ray Pass says, easy cape manipulation, looks good with no effort. Yes, and it's fully wired. So it really, I don't have any complaints in that respect. And I like capes that will sort of like, will easily bend to my will. Not that I have too big of an ego or anything like that, but yeah, it's properly wired, so you can really get a good effect to the cape. It's just the fabric is really weird. The fabric it feels kind of plasticky and kind of weird. Quip says, definitely need a deluxe blue Dhalsim. Dhalsim's level was probably my favorite to play in as a kid. Those elephants are iconic. Yes, it's second only to Guile's stage. I liked all of them, and I was kind of going through them recently because I was trying to pull up, backgrounds for thumbnails and things like that. They're all really good. And it was like one of those weird moments where I was sort of going through all of them and remembering, playing all the characters and like playing all the levels and just, yeah, Street Fighter is just, there's a lot of warm and fuzzies associated with Street Fighter for me. So Quip said, June has said they're going to finish the entire Street Fighter 2 lineup before going into other Capcom games. I'm okay with that. I am 100% okay with that. But he said they're going into other Capcom games, because that's good news, because Darkstalkers is Capcom. Yeah, first thing Bison does before you fight is rip off and throw away his cape. Yes, which is why I think it was like almost essential that they included the second set of shoulder pads and did it that way. Quip says, Captain Falcon from F-Zero Racing Super Smash Brothers. I am familiar with F-Zero Racing. I am somewhat familiar with Super Smash Brothers, but not to the extent that I know who Captain Falcon is, believe it or not. Mon El, Legions of Superheroes, obscure reference for the win. Ray Pass says, he's a character from Legion of Superheroes. Yeah, I do not know who Mon El is. Anyways, I'm going to pop this cape off just to sort of take a look at the alternate look. And they're very clear in the instructions here, to get the alternate ones off. You go back to front to put the new ones on. You go front to back. That is good. That gives me... Oh, man, that's super easy. And it just pops right off very satisfyingly. There is a nice sort of obvious spot where they go. It doesn't plug in. You know, the panel itself is just sort of a friction fit thing, which is great. We're going to go front to back, and it has a very satisfying click when you go front to back as well, if you do it correctly, which I'm not. Oh no, it's on. It didn't give me the same click on that one, but they do float a little bit higher than I might like if I had my choice. Now I will alternate the head, because I just think that is the head. This fits nicely over the fist. That looks really, really good. This is my problem when I do my Street Fighter unboxing videos. I actually have to look up like their poses. I have to look up, you know, how they stand and stuff, because I don't remember. I haven't played Street Fighter in a long, long time, so I have to sort of look it up. So I am gonna pose him very incorrectly, probably, but with you know the angry sort of energy fist. I'll check in with the chat, and then I will pull up the rest of my Street Fighter figures, and we'll take a quick look, and we will chat. Let's see. Oh, there's no new comments. That's perfect. That makes it very, very easy for me. So there is M. Bison. Again, a really, really good figure. I'm excited that we're getting, you know, he's kind of the big bad as far as I'm concerned in Street Fighter 2, because I don't know anything about the game, or I don't know otherwise. Oh man, if I had hours, oof, the poses I could come up with in hours. Quip says, we appreciate the hours of research you put into the accuracy of your poses. It's literally minutes. It's literally minutes. But I will bring these guys up. I did spend literally minutes on these guys. Oh, sorry about that. I did spend literally minutes to get these guys in their sort of poses. And I think they're fairly accurate. To like how they pose. You know, when you get them sort of set up in the game. Maybe let me know. But I'm loving this line, and I didn't want to. I genuinely didn't want to. I had a number of people telling me how much they enjoyed these figures, how great the articulation was, like how good the paint apps were, and on and on and on. Oh, you guys just went on and on and on about how good these figures were. And I wasn't going to buy these figures. I will say that. I will repeat that. I was not going to buy these figures because I just, there's too much other stuff to buy. Street Fighter wasn't, you know, it was an IP that I love, but it wasn't an IP that I needed in my life. And it wasn't until I saw these at retail that I was really compelled to pick them up. But then once I saw them at retail, I was like, you know what? I think this is going to be a fun line. I think this is a line that's worth picking up. I'm not going to go too heavy into this line. You know, I got these guys. I've got Ryu on the way. I'm not going to get all of them. And once the Street Fighter 2 figures are done, I'm kind of done. I don't know the sort of extended universe well enough to go much deeper, which is good. So you know, as I said, I've got 5 on the table here. I've got Ryu on the way, which will make 6, and then from that point, You know, the 6 that are coming out next, I think I only want 4 of those. And then there's a couple more. But then, you know, if they extend it, you know, they go a little bit deeper with Capcom. As I said, the Dark Stalkers look pretty cool, and I think those would be really, really fun to collect. So who knows? But anyways. I want to see size comparison next to the other characters. Who do you want to see next to who? Because this is pretty much, you know, what we've gotten so far. So Bison is definitely the big bad for all intents and purposes. Some might argue Akuma is, but he's a secret character. I know that Akuma is a secret character. That's a really, really cool design. So I will probably pick up Akuma when they make him. I'm 100% certain that they will. So Quip says they all look so good together. They really do. And that's part of the problem is that the figures look really, really good, and they're really fun, and they're vibrant, and you know they're Jada. You know, my hat is off to Jada. They are killing it with this line. The articulation is fantastic. The sculpts are fantastic. The materials that they're using are fantastic. The price point is bonkers. You know, to think that Jada is releasing these at the same price that Marvel Legends is getting done at, Black Series, G.I. Joe Classified, and I can't imagine that these are being manufactured at the same scale. I don't think they're making as many of these as they're making G.I. Joe figures. So it's pretty crazy that that they can sort of hit this price point as well as they do. I've got so much respect for Jada right now. You know, if I wasn't super busy and didn't have a million other things to do, I think I'd probably reach out to June and be like, "Yo, I want to talk about these figures with you." But maybe someday. Um, Ray Pass says, "You got everything I want to see on screen." There you go. M Bison is a little bit bigger. For a reference, let me just stand him up straight, or sort of as straight as I can. I'll try to get him to stand up straight-ish. And I haven't heated him up, so he doesn't want to just like stand up straight. But then I'll just straighten Ken up a little bit because I think Ryu is kind of the standard size wise. So as far as sort of just standing up straight, there you go. Bison's a little bit taller, quarter of an inch, maybe half an inch taller. But yeah, but clearly, you know, a little bit taller. So very, very cool. I appreciate that they're sort of keeping these as accurate as they possibly can. Or I think they are. I think they are. I don't really know. As I said, I'm not the guy to ask. Quip says, I keep eyeballing that Fei Long to double as a Bruce Lee figure. Well, isn't that what Fei Long is? Quip says the wired bendy limbs on Dalsum are phenomenal. They are really, really cool. They look really weird when you bend them, but yeah, they're, as much as I'm disappointed that he didn't come with the Yoga Flame. Man, I'm sorry. I won't do that again, I promise. As much as I'm upset that they didn't come with the Yoga Flame, the bendy limbs are really, really cool. Ray Paz says the poses you can get and the ability of the figures to hold some of these crazy poses are so mind-blowing. Yes, that's a very good point. These pose really well, but they also hold their poses well. They're nice, firm figures. You know, they pose well, and they don't. You know, the ankles. M Bison is giving me problems because I haven't heated them up yet. But once you heat them up, they're perfectly fine. So. you mess with them more and you'll see the insanity of the thought that went into these figures. Yeah, I'm very, very impressed. It really hit me with Dalsum when I did the unboxing for Dalsum. The way that they have the where they've put the articulation points so that it doesn't break up the sculpt and things like that, where like there's certain things that seem like afterthoughts for some lines, for some figures, for some properties. They've done an incredible job of like executing these figures, and I'm very, very impressed. Quip said Ryu is the only one that isn't game accurate. He should have brown gloves, brown hair, and no writing on the belt. The player one version Jada did is based on the game art, but not the in-game avatar. Oh, I don't have Ryu yet, so I'll have to sort of take a look at that. Now, here's my question: they've now kind of updated Ryu. Is that the first release of Ryu, or did they not change it for the second version? I genuinely don't know the answer to that. But anyway, I can't wait to get Ryu. I got Ken because I couldn't get Ryu. Ryu was not on the shelf, and so I got Ken as sort of a sort of a stand-in. I don't like Ken at all. He's Knuff, but he's not really a character that I like or wanted. But here he is in my collection. Anyways. All right, guys, that's all I've got. That's all I sort of plan to do. I just wanted to do a very sort of quick, M. Bison unboxing and sort of chat about this line. As I said, this line is nailing they're doing everything right. They're doing everything right. The sculpts, the paint, the price point, the accessories. Very, very impressed. Can't wait to get more. And if you haven't gotten any yet, take it from me and Ray and Brick, who also pushed me in this direction. Pick one and just get it and pose it up, play with it, see what you think. Because this is a great line and Jada's doing some really, really cool things. I'm very, very impressed. As I always say, it is more fun to unbox toys with friends, so I appreciate you guys hanging out and chatting with me. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a long day. It's been a long month. It's been a long summer already, and we're only in June. I will be talking toys with Brick and Jason from Spiro Toys on Sunday. So tune in to that. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Again, as I already mentioned, if you're watching tonight and chatting, I appreciate you. If you're watching the replay, I appreciate you as well. Even when I'm behind schedule, even when I'm a little bit late, even when I'm not 100% up to it energy-wise, you guys make this worthwhile, and I truly appreciate all the kind words that you guys send me, and thank you, genuinely, thank you. Until next time, bye-bye. Wait. Bye-bye.